Hey everybody, it's the Millennial Prepster here, and I'm making another video. So the last video, if you watched it, I had 11 vegan comeback, debunked myths, something like that. It's just 11 things that vegans usually come at preppers and homesteaders with, and I pretty much, dismantle those arguments. Now this one is totally different. Totally different whatsoever. So now I have 11 questions for vegans that I would hope they would answer honestly. Because these 11 questions are questions that I don't have the answer to. And 10 of these questions, I've been able to at least kind of hypothesize what the answers are, but I don't know. And that's why I'm asking, because I legitimately don't know what the answers are. At all. And then one of them, I just don't even know where to start. I can't answer it. I don't know, and I've asked everybody, and nobody knows, right? So, yeah, so these are all questions that I've asked vegans, and these have been the questions that vegans won't even touch. I'll ask the question, and they'll just pretend like I didn't even say it, which is really weird. You'd think they'd at least address it. I haven't been able to find any YouTube videos on any of these things, really. So these are honest questions that I just don't know how to make heads or tails of. And then one of them I don't even know. Not even my non-vegan friends even know how to. They had no idea. They had to I don't even know how you go about answering that. I'm I don't know either, right? So let's just get right to it. So the first question is, how bad are meat eaters? And I put a comma really, really. And the reason why I say that is because when we're looking at the ethics of veganism versus, a meat eater or whatever, I understand that I produce my own food, right? I grow food, both of the animal and the plant's variety. And so I know vegans, you guys think I'm absolutely horrible, immoral, just disgusting human being, right? And I can at least, from what you're telling me, and based upon the reasons why you're telling me it, I can understand. If you really hold to those set of values that you claim you have, I can understand why, right? It would make sense. But then this question kind of makes it hard for me to make sense of that. Because would you be friends with somebody that's racist or openly homophobic? Would you be friends with a murderer? Would you be friends with a rapist, right? Somebody that was actively, not used to murder, not used to rape, not used to be racist, not used to be homophobic. It was every day, 3 times a day, they murdered, or they raped, or they were racist, or they're homophobic, or they lied, or they stole, right? Habitual thieves, people that steal, habitual liars. So, for example, I don't eat meat with every meal, right? But I at least do it one time a day, right? Most of my diet is largely plant-based, there's no doubt about that, but I do eat meat, right? So if I eat meat one time a day, if I'm just as bad as somebody who's murdering, stealing, lying, whatever, I'm doing that at least once a day, and I'm not sorry about it, right? So how bad is it, Would you be friends with a racist, right? Most time I ask this question, they say no, of course they wouldn't. But then I ask them if they'd be friends with a meat eater, and it's different. They can't explain why it's different, They try to bring society construct. I just don't get it. So maybe somebody can really deep down and dive and explain it to me. Because I don't understand. Why is it not okay to be friends with a racist, but it is okay to be friends with a meat eater? I don't get it. Because if you really believe that what meat eaters are doing are really as bad as what you claim they're doing, you shouldn't be friends with that person. And for you to be friends with that person and know better just shows that you have either lack of discipline or a lack of moral compass yourself, right? So how bad is it? When you rate it, is it as bad as doing drugs, or is it not? It's just one of those things, right? Because if I had a friend if I knew somebody and I found out that they had a drug problem, I wouldn't let them around my family. I wouldn't let them around my kids or my wife. That would not be cool, right? I wouldn't do it, and I have no problem saying, no, dude, you got a drug problem. You shouldn't be around my kids. But would you be okay if there are any meat eaters you would let around your friends? If my own brother turned out that he, and any family member, brother, sister, cousin, if I found out my own mom, for goodness sakes, right, had a murdering problem or a raping problem or a drug problem or an alcoholism problem, I wouldn't let them around my kids. I just wouldn't do it because I love my kids or my wife or my family. I just wouldn't do it. So it's You know what I mean? All right, I think we hit that one pretty good. Number 2, why are vegan foods that look, taste, and feel like the real evil, horrible animal products that they are, why are they so popular now? Like, if animal products are horrible, right? Killing a sentient human, or killing a sentient animal, right? So if killing a sentient animal is like really bad, and eating their flesh is really bad, why is it so popular for vegans to recreate and imitate that evil, right? It's like, would you, if we got an imitation baby or human being or something, would you eat that? Would you think that was cool? No, I don't think anyone that I know would, right? But for some reason, it goes back to like question 1, like holding to your values. Like, if you're a true vegan, you think that killing of animals is bad and the eating of animals is bad. Why would you eat a burger that looks like it's bleeding, like an active bleeding burger, vegan burger? I mean, I know it's beet juice, but like, really, why would you do that? It just seems pretty disgusting if that's the mindset. It's like, we're gonna pretend like we're eating meat, guys. Yeah, like I don't understand. If you're holding true to your values, why is that such a thing? Why is that so popular? I just don't get it. Hopefully somebody can explain it to me. I just don't, like, if it's wrong, right? Oh, it's not a real human baby. It's a look-like human baby. Like that doesn't do it for me. So I don't get it, right? All right, number 3. 85% of vegans and vegetarians, by the way, this study did a little bit of background information, and yeah, they lump vegans and vegetarians together, self-identified, right? I don't know if Earthling Ed gave them the go-ahead, but we'll just go with it because it's science, and science said so. So 85% of vegans and vegetarians go back to eating meat. My question is, why is it so hard to be vegan? Like, I don't get it, and especially in 2018, where you can pretty much get anything shipped to you. Like, I understand why it's so hard to be vegan. I don't, especially for like the ethical part of it. Like, if you told me this steak has an ounce of human, like beautiful, awesome steak, like, oh, by the way, it has human in it. I'm not going to tell you how much. It's a little bit of human in there. I'm not going to eat it, right? I'll even go one further. Like, if you told me that cow, this awesome steak, if you were to tell me that, it was, I'll be honest, I'll level with you. It came from a factory. It came from a big animal. I wouldn't eat it, right? No, thank you. I don't do, like, in my real life, like today, I don't do that. I don't eat GMO at all, right? So if you told me that, these plants that were in front of me that looked really good were GMO, I wouldn't eat it. If you told me the cow ate GMO or the rabbit ate GMO, and then you tried to serve me the meat, I still wouldn't eat it. And I don't have a problem with that. Like, this is not an issue. Like, it's not hard to say no. Like, for me anyway, it's not hard to say, like, no, thank you. So I don't understand what's so hard about being vegan. Like, especially if it's an ethical thing, right? Especially if, like, ethically, it's so wrong to eat meat. Like, you watch Cowspiracy for crying out loud, like, you cried whenever the pig was squealing and stuff, and they were doing all those horrible things, which they're horrible, absolutely. So the fact that was so horrible, the fact that you would even think about going back to eating animals, like, a week later, really blows my mind. Like, why? I don't get it. Like, you don't have to tell me to do something against my values. It's easy to say no. So I don't know. I don't get it. So maybe somebody can explain that one to me too. Number 4. This is a really good one. If plant-based foods are so nutritious, right? Because we know from what all the vegan activists and what vegan and plant doctors say, right? And they recommend that, and they say that plant-based foods are the highest ultimate quality, right? I don't think there's any rule. I mean, the science is settled on that, right? So why do so many activists, YouTubers, and doctors, plant-based vegan doctors, recommend that people take so many supplements? Like, every time I've done research on it, there's like 5 to 6 supplements that they recommend people take. Every day, B12 vitamin, calcium, iron, vitamin D, DHA, some kind of omega-3, some stuff like that. So these are things that doctors will say that you need a supplement. So if the food's so high quality, and it's so abundant, right? There's vegan food everywhere. And if not, it's called Amazon, right? The fact that you can get these shipped to your store, like, what's the point of supplementation? Why are so many people recommending that the average consumer, spend thousands of dollars annually on vegan supplements, right? Because you can't get your vitamin D from an animal-based product, right? That animals were harmed in the making of the product. You can't do that, right? You have to buy it you know, from a place that doesn't hurt animals, that just, you know, uses a shit ton of, you know, petrochemicals and oil to grow it, produce it, ship it, get it to you, right? Number 5, why do vegans never discuss the evils of pesticides? Why are vegans eating food grown in pesticides and petroleum-based fertilizers? So for this one, I get it, because I get that there's, you know, there's the appeal of fallacy, ideology that some of the smarter vegans try to throw. We live in 2018. Oil's here to stay. You can't do anything about it. All right, cool. If you don't think that that's intentionally causing harm, if you don't think you can actually do anything about it, that's fine. But how about pesticides? You know what I mean? Obviously, you have to grow your food in a level 1 carcinogen, known as chemical-based fertilizers. Okay, cool. So you got to grow your food in cancer. I get it, right? You're a vegan. I understand. You got to grow your food in cancer. But why support pesticides? Like, there's only one point of pesticides, right? And that is to kill any kind of life form, any kind of organism that would try to consume that crop as its favorite. Like, that's literally the only reason for it. You know, people try to say that about guns, right? Not that we're going to get off on gun tangent, but you can target shoot with a gun. You know, you can intentionally use a gun without harming somebody. You can't intentionally use pesticides. I mean, the whole point of the pesticide is to kill living organisms. So why can't we at least talk about that? You know, sure, I'll let you have it, man. Go ahead, grow your food in cancer. But the pesticides, though, like, you know, I mean, at some point, logic just has to step in and say, hey, man, like, we should at least talk about this as, you know, as a movement, right? I'd call veganism a movement, right? I think overall, all the ones I've talked to seem like they're nice people that want good things to happen. I just think that they're completely 100% backwards in how they think, unfortunately. I mean, that's just how it goes, right? So why don't I ever talk about it? I mean, I can go down the rabbit hole, but why don't we talk about pesticides? At least talk about what intentional harm pesticides cause, right? Because it is the intentional taking of living organisms' lives. You know, 64 million birds every year in the U.S. alone die because of fertilizers, right? Because no pesticides. I'm sorry, they die because of pesticides. You know, if we're talking about intentional causes of plant-based agriculture and pesticides, because of plant-based agriculture, that's 71% of all child labor in the whole world is engaged in growing vegan food, right? And vegans care about children and child labor laws and stuff like that, right? But I feel like they only care if it has to do with stuff that's not plant-based. Like, as long as it's for growing plants, like, it's okay. You can do whatever you want, and it shouldn't be that way. Like, you should be standard in your beliefs no matter what. Maybe I'm asking too much, but that's what it is. Number 6. This is, how does being a consumer vegan realistically, honestly help the environment, right? And I know this isn't a coined term yet, so I'll tell you what a consumer vegan is as for definition. So this is what a consumer-based vegan is. It's somebody who leaves their oil-powered domicile to get into oil-powered transportation, then goes to the oil-powered grocery store that then buys plant products that are grown in level 1 carcinogens with the help of pesticides from a store that's oil-powered that also sells animal products the murdered animal products that are being held from the scaffolding on display for the whole world to see, and then take those plant-based products to the cash register where they pay for those plant-based products using fiat currency, only to get back into their oil-powered transportation, back to their oil-powered domicile. That is what a consumer vegan is. So I guess my question is, how, since that is a fact, and that's what 99.999% of vegans do, realistically, how does that help them? I'll leave that one way open-ended for you guys to get a good grasp on that, answer that one. Number 7, given vegans' firm stance on animal rights, why is there such a divide on things like pet ownership and abortion? And there's a lot of other things, but I won't get into the weeds with it. But just pet ownership, abortion, these are non-nuanced items, right? And so given the firm vegan stance, you know, to not intentionally cause harm to animals, right? Pet ownership, you're enslaving animals, right? And most vegans have pets, so it's like, it goes back to question 1, like just consistency, you know, like how bad is it, right? And so, you know, people, oh, I treat my pet so good. Yeah, and guess what? People that raise, there's a lot of good homesteaders out there that raise animals that treat them even better than you treat your pet. I guarantee that, right? And so it's like one of those things where it's like, you know, if we got to be honest with ourselves here, like, you know, these are non-partisan, non-nuanced questions. Like, why is there a divide on pet ownership? Why do some vegans say it's cool and some vegans say it's not? You know, if you're telling me I can't eat a chicken egg, but I can abort a, you know, abortion's okay, like, I guess that's where I get confused. Like, why is there such a divide? Now, I'm not saying that one's right or the other's right. Like, that's not the point of this video. Just, why is there a divide on it? Right. So this is another good one. Kind of goes back to the consumer-based vegan that we talked about, number 6, right? So vegans have no problem boycotting fast food companies, bakeries for their stances on everything from traditional marriage to race relations to First Amendment, Second Amendment, you know, things like that. But these same said vegans refuse to boycott the grocery stores which they buy plant-based products that also support and harbor murdered animals to support big animal agriculture that hang murdered animals by the scalp of things for everyone to see on display. Why? Right? It goes back to just being consistent. Like, I don't understand that, right? I just don't get it. As a meat eater, I don't get it, man. Like, if the store was doing something that was against my ethics, I wouldn't shop there. I wouldn't do that. And I can say that, and it's easy for me to say because I'm a doer. I do things, right? I produce my own food, that kind of thing. So I would do something about it. But I feel like in the vegan community, like, it's something that's just one of these things that nobody wants to talk about. You know what I mean? And I just don't understand. Like, if something is wrong, it's wrong. You know? I don't know. If it's wrong, it's wrong. So. Number 9, and this is a good one, and honestly, of all the questions that I asked, this is probably, I don't want to say the most important one. I would like to know the answers on all of them, but this is definitely one that I'm very curious. If you had to say, hey, millennial prepster, of all the questions here, I can't get to all of them because there's just so much there. What's the one that you want to hear? It would probably be, realistically, if I'm being serious, right, in all honesty, it'd definitely be number 9, right? So given the importance of the vegan mission statement, right, what governmental role and laws should be implemented to further that said mission statement, right? So if we're talking about not causing more intentional harm to animals, right, and we're talking about this, what laws, what city ordinances, like what kind of legislation do vegans want to see pushed? And the reason why it's so important is because with any legislation, with any government oversight, with any governmental stance in which they're obligated to do something about something, right? A said ordinance, said law, there's obviously has to be punishment, and that punishment ranges from everything from violations to felonies, right, on both the state and federal level. And these punishments are then, you know, done, administered, and enforced by, you know, agents of the state, agents of the government, in uniform, displaying a badge, carrying a gun, right? So there's a force factor there. So that's something that is huge, regardless of what we're talking about. So you're talking about agents of the state, agents of the government, with guns, able to punitively enforce these legislations. So what legislations do you guys want to see? What laws? What muni codes? You know, what ordinances do you guys want to see implemented? And, you know, tell me what you want to see from your own neighborhood standpoint, to your own city, county, state, federal, that kind, or even United Nations, like something on a way, you know, global scale. What do you want to see? And that would be definitely curious, absolutely, to know what you guys' thoughts are on that. Number 10, given the fact that statistically, scientifically, mathematically, given the fact that there's no way to feed any size of population without petrochemicals, oil, and pesticides, what is the way forward, right? We can't do it. It's not possible. Even if you were okay with going organic, which is most vegans know, I hope you guys know, that organic plant products are grown using mainly bone and blood meal, right, from animals. That's how they get the nutrition in their plants. So knowing that animal-based products are used in the fertilization of organic foods, which I'm sure every vegan here knows, what is the way forward in order to be true, not sustainable, because you guys don't care about sustainability, in order to be true to the vegan mission statement, right? Curious to know. And then number 11, Now, this is the one question where I kind of mentioned earlier. I have absolutely no idea, right? I have no idea how to even address this one. Like, at least 1 through 10, I can hypothesize, and I bounce them off my non-vegan friends here, and we've at least hypothesized. Like, I can come up with, if I go down the rabbit hole far enough, I can come up with an answer, right? I don't think it's the right answer that a vegan would come up with, but I can come up with an answer. Number 11, man, I don't know. Like, I just can't even, I don't know. So number 11, is veganism like sobriety, where every time you mess up, like, your clock restarts? Like, oh, I've been vegan 10 years, and then I had a piece of cheese, and now I've only been vegan for a week. Or is it like religion, where it's like, as long as you apologize and you get Earthling Ed to forgive you, you can still self-identify, or you can still identify as a vegan. Like, so if you've been a vegan for 3 years and you ate ice cream on accident that had an animal product in it, you can still be like, oh, Earthling Ed, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to. And he's like, oh, don't worry, child, I forgive you, or whatever. And then you're like, oh, okay, cool, so my clock doesn't restart, and you still can say that you've been a vegan for 3 years, even though you messed up. I know that sounds really, like, I know that does sound nuanced, but it's not. Like, it's an honest question. Like, I don't know how that works. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what vegans are allowed to get away with. And it's kind of, if you look at things on YouTube, and you ask me, no one really knows. I'm sure Earthling Ed knows, but it's like, you got to be on the in. So if anyone's on the in, it can, like, help me out with that one, that'd be cool. So, yeah, if you don't want to answer, but you can, number 11 is it's probably the easiest one, because you're a vegan and you can just say, you know, what you believe it is. I just don't know. Like, as a meteor, it confuses everybody. And by everybody, I just mean me and I guess the group of friends that I have. So, anyway, there you have it. Those are my 11 honest questions that I have for vegans. Please send me a message if you want. Go in the comments, you know, list them out, give me your answers. Make a video response. That would be pretty cool. And then just, like, send me the link about, you know, kind of answer those questions. But yeah, that's what I have for you guys. I hope you guys like the video. And as always, guys, you know, long live the Republic.